Welcome back to the Mechanical Room Extras, and the Meet the Team segment that we've been doing here for a couple of times. This is maybe the 5th or 6th installment, and today we are welcoming Sarah Thompson to the Green Room, the TV studio down here, which is pretty much right underneath where you sit now as our HR manager.
Yes.
You're pretty new still.
Yes.
How long have you been here?
Since July, mid-July.
Okay, so 5 months you've been working, so it's not that new.
Yeah.
The cobwebs are off, and now you're kind of like entrenched in there. What does an HR manager at a manufacturing facility do?
Well, this is my first role in a manufacturing facility, and I gotta say that I really love it, and I enjoy it a lot because it definitely hones in on my HR operations management strategies a lot more.
Ooh, I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, like I feel like some of the things there's so many different facets of HR and so many different routes you can go, just like with any other job, really. To me, there's a lot of operational things that can be done to help improve a company. And since I'm working here in a manufacturing industry, it's really looked at here. It's like a priority here, and I really value that. And I get to work with the operations team and come up with ideas to help improve our processes. Some of the things we've already done, like scheduling, trying to make it like so that everybody has a touch point. So we're trying to do that through Paylocity, which is our payroll provider, trying to communicate through that so that we can easily communicate to our employees, essentially. Yes.
That's a valuable resource,
yes.
And one that we didn't necessarily need all of this
yes.
let's say a year and a half ago, but
right.
We've experienced a lot of growth, which leads to things like a lot of hiring,
yes.
a lot of turnover,
yes.
a lot of onboarding process and stuff like that. So
yes.
That's the kind of stuff that you actually like.
I do. I really like doing those kinds of things. I like, getting people on board, introducing them to the company, showing them what we do, and just making them feel like they're a part of the team day one, and trying to get them on the right foot so that they can be successful at whatever they are doing here for us at Centrotherm.
I think that's a vital
yes.
piece of company-wide culture,
right.
And of course, keeping the staff engaged and,
yes.
and happy and whatnot. What's a good example of something that really works for this day one family type thing? How do you maybe fast forward that process? Because tenure comes with time. That's
right.
legitimately how you define tenure, let's say.
Right.
So what are you doing that is sort of disrupting that to get these folks feeling like they're on the team quickly?
Right, and then there's lots of things you could do. Since I'm still new, I'm still working on the onboarding process. But going forward, I would hope that we, just maintain our communication levels, right? We want to maintain employee engagement. How do we go about that? What are some of the engagement strategies that we have to make sure people feel like their opinions matter and that they are aware of what the company goals are, and so that they can contribute to that process? If that makes sense.
It does. It
okay.
does. How about so I think people don't really even understand what human resources is.
Yes.
So maybe you can dial it back a tiny bit and give a sort of a 3,000-foot view of what human resources is, or potentially address common misconceptions that occur?
So that's a good question. Thank you. I will try not to get into a long.
I would love to hear almost
like
a
a
textbook definition of what that is exactly.
Okay. Well, I don't think you can give a textbook definition. Because,
I would say the same thing about marketing.
Yes. Because here it is, like that can use you as an example, right? It depends on your experience.
I love being used as an example.
Yeah, yes. So, like, for instance, I've worked with marketing managers before that don't come from a marketing type background. Maybe they come from a finance background.
Okay.
Maybe they come from like a different background. And with marketing, it's such a creative space. So what they do is they pull from their background and implement that into their strategies for marketing. So for you, an example, you come from broadcast, right? So you pull in
This stuff.
This stuff, which is amazing and is something I've never seen from marketing. And I feel like that's how people would view marketing here. So it is kind of, it depends on the person's background. There are obviously some, like, this is what you do in human resources type things.
Same thing for marketing.
Yes.
Like, we have to have catalogs, for
Right,
example.
right, exactly. But I really think sometimes with human resources, it also comes from the person's background and experience and what they can, the knowledge and the way that they view certain things to contribute to the company.
Interesting.
I guess.
Okay.
I know. I'm trying.
So
not to
what's a misconception about human resources? Because you always hear about, I don't want to throw cold water on the department as a whole, but typically human resources is involved in mediating disputes and conflict.
Yes.
And generally speaking, generally speaking, it sort of has a quasi-negative sort of cloud over it, whereas actually I think a better way to do it is, human resources is also involved in the good parts of it, of that as well. Promotions and raises and
right.
things
We
like
are
that.
sometimes we're the man behind the curtain, or however you want to use those phrases. In certain things like that, promotions, things like that. I think the common misconception, and it's a fairly innocent one, is when you bring on new employees, some things that should go to the manager versus going to HR, like simple things like, I would like to request time off. That should go through your manager instead of making services.
And I think a growing company, so we're a growing company,
right,
as we still are, and that's the type of thing that these swim lanes are somewhat undefined.
Yes.
And as a new HR manager, which is not a role that we had,
yes,
we're still figuring out where you fit in that communication chain, let's say.
Yes. So it's like some things they need to filter through the manager before they come to human resources, is what probably the biggest thing that I always see in human resources is just, where is that fine line? Like, do I talk to human resources about this, or do I talk to my manager? And I usually help them to understand, like, these are the things I can help you with, but these are the things that really your manager should be helping you with.
Let's define a couple of those.
Okay.
I'm just curious, like, what's an example of something where it's like, yeah, that happens in my office. I'm Sarah,
Yes.
I'm HR manager.
Right.
Let's close the door and chat about this. Or something like a time off request is an obvious one to go to your
Right.
superior, because you're not dealing with their day-to-day labor, let's say.
Yes.
What's something that kind of falls, maybe something in the gray area, maybe?
Yes. So I would think, like, maybe leaves of absences for
Longer term
leave of absences, maybe medical leave of absences. Some people, like, they want to know what their benefits are, right?
Okay.
And not even the manager might not know what the benefits are before they pursue something. That would be something you'd come to HR for, and you would say, these are your benefits. These are what we offer you. These are the options that you have based on working here. Like, can you do we qualify for FMLA? Yes, we do. So, like, what is FMLA? And we explain the process. Like, leaves of absences can be like a big one that usually goes to HR first, just to get, like, what are my options, depending on their personal circumstances, versus going directly to the manager, because the person themselves may not know what their benefits are. And
Gotcha.
maybe the manager doesn't as well, if that makes sense.
Sure. So sometimes you play referee a little bit in that
Yes.
respect as well, and you sort of can be an intermediary
Yes.
between a manager and their employees
Right.
as well, and help to
Yes.
define all that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I think I see you bouncing around the office, doing all that
Yes.
sort of stuff too. So I think you're making a very big difference here.
Thank you. I
And
try.
we needed that in
Yes.
terms of for a growing company, because it's just something that a lot of those duties were kind of split up between the managers and
Right.
the supervisors of the departments, and it's not, and that undefined swim lane type of stuff only gets increasingly more difficult to navigate as the staff expands and whatnot.
Exactly. Those are called growing pains.
Yes, indeed.
So a lot of people experience that when they start to grow, and Centrotherm is growing. So those are some things that we're dealing with right now, and hopefully we can make those growing pains not hurt as
I
much
think
as
you're
possible.
certainly helping with that.
Yes.
And we appreciate all the stuff that
you.
you do here. And I know that you have loads of ideas for the future. We will not spoil them, let's say. So that was the nuts and bolts 9 to 5 type stuff.
Right.
We see eye to eye on the Buffalo Bills here,
Yes,
despite these last couple of weeks
I
being
know.
a little bit disappointing.
These heartaches that they like to give us.
Yeah, same old Bills.
Yes.
It's just
Then
a tough one.
you wouldn't be a Bills fan if
True.
they didn't give you those heartaches. I swear.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what it is.
I mean, I feel for the lifetime fans, as we've discussed.
Yes.
I have some Buffalo bona fides in my family
Yes.
tree, and I'm really rooting hard for those guys. So, Bills aside, because it is such a painful thing, it gives me chest pains to think about. How else do you spend your time? I know you're a mother and,
Yes.
and a wife.
Yes.
What makes the day go by for you? What are you excited for when you leave work?
Yeah.
How do you spend your time? Some hobbies. Who are you as a human being?
Okay.
From human resources to human being.
Exactly. Some of the things I like to do are home projects. I love to kind of like tinker around with things, fix things. We recently bought a new house about 2 years ago, and I've been just trying to make it like my forever home,
Okay.
because we know we're going to be there for 30 plus years. So I've been doing a lot of like, I guess, what are those shows that they have?
Like type stuff?
Yes. Like, so I've been doing those little fun little projects around the house. And just
Such
trying-
as what? Like tinkering. Tinkering to me seems mechanical. Are you fixing stuff and building stuff?
No, I'm like the biggest thing. Like we've redone our bathrooms, right?
Oh.
So we replaced all the toilets. We did it all by ourselves.
Wow.
Yeah. We replaced the sinks, the faucets, and it's really not hard to upgrade a bathroom if you're not like redoing the plumbing. If the plumbing's staying where it is.
Did you tile it yourself?
No, I haven't done tiling, but I'm like tempted to because my bathroom is in a desperate need. Like we have those fiberglass showers.
Sure.
And it's old, like it's 20 plus years old, so there's a lot of stains on it, and it just needs to be replaced. And I don't want to replace it with fiberglass again. I want to do something tile so it lasts for a long time and it's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
And I'm like this close to like watching a Google or like a
YouTube.
YouTube video and going for it myself. So
It is. I'll say it's not easy.
Yes.
I don't even try.
Yeah.
Personally, that is not me at all. I'm better
Right.
with Premiere Pro and turning
Yes.
this thing into an actual TV studio,
Yes.
not the actual filming.
Yeah.
I mean, not the actual tiling stuff. I mean,
Yes.
that's tough. My wife is much better at that stuff. I wouldn't even attempt.
Right.
But man, that is pretty bold. Tiling is not
Right.
easy. It's backbreaking.
Yes.
You're on your hands and knees. It's very meticulous. And
I might not do it.
No, you should. I mean, I'd be curious to know your how it turns out, of course,
Yes,
because
yeah.
it takes a brave person, I think, to embark on that kind of scope of a thing. I mean,
Yes.
a toilet, you bring the new one in, you
Yes.
turn off the water, you make sure everything's
Yes.
cranked up and watertight and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I think
Those are pretty easy. I don't know if people realize how easy it is to replace a toilet. I know fascinating stuff, but it's really easy to replace a toilet.
Our audience is gonna be like, yeah, it's easy.
Yeah,
They-
it's
It's
easy.
mostly
I know.
contractors, so
yeah,
they're
exactly,
gonna be like,
yeah.
oh yeah, toilet, no problem. Tiling, yeah, no, I'm gonna sub that one out
Yes,
because I don't want to be
that's-
on there.
Yeah,
The
you need
tile
like
guys-
certain tools and all that other stuff. That's
Yeah.
the only thing preventing me is like you'd have to rent like I think it's a diamond blade cutter. I might be wrong about this, but like something like that.
I don't
You have
even
no
know,
idea?
but it
All
sounds,
right.
it sounds like kind of a badass tool to have.
I know.
Have that in
Well, I've
the
rented.
repertoire.
Yeah,
Okay, fair enough.
yes.
You rented. Okay. Well, you never know. You get it. You just fall in love with tiling.
Yes.
And then you just redo the kitchen, and then you redo the bathroom upstairs
That's
and
true.
downstairs.
That's
Maybe you
true.
put in one in the basement because you're just in love with home plumbing at this
Yes,
point.
yes.
So, what's your favorite movie?
Ooh. Oh, that one's a hard one. I love. That's also a pastime of mine. Is to when I like to relax, I like to watch movies. Like,
Well, give me some top 5.
all right. So as for a cartoon, like a child movie, it
All
was
right.
always Dumbo. Dumbo was my favorite.
All right, a classic. How did you feel about was it like CGI live action remake?
I haven't watched it yet.
All right.
I was afraid I would get heartbroken by it because some of the other CGI remakes are not the greatest. So I was afraid to watch it because I was like, I don't want it to ruin my favorite movie. So I never watched it.
All right.
I don't know. And then action, probably Captain America.
Which one?
The first one, the very first
Was
one.
it called The Winter Soldier? No.
No, the very first Captain. I don't know. Maybe I don't remember what it was called, but it was the very first Captain America that came out.
We don't have Mike Sakaris here. He's
Yes,
he
I
is the
know.
Marvel Encyclopedia.
Yes.
I don't. I have a cursory knowledge.
Yes.
I have a very, very surface level knowledge of Marvel.
Yes.
Alex, do you know the first Captain America movie's title? The
Yeah,
Winter
that's the
Soldier
second one.
is the second one. Is it Civil War came later
Later,
on.
yep.
So is it maybe just called
I
Captain
think
America?
it's just-
Rise of the Avenger? I don't
No,
know.
I think it's just
don't know.
Captain America. I could be wrong.
Okay, so what about so we covered cartoon.
Yes.
No remake.
Yes.
Action is Captain America, the first one, although we're not sure of the title. So
Yes.
obviously you super favorite for you.
Romantic is definitely Pride and Prejudice, the one with I don't remember the act, but it's like
like Gwyneth Paltrow? No.
not-
Emma Thompson?
yes.
I'm just naming like white blonde chicks who are in this.
Well, no, it wasn't. I don't know her name. She was in the Pirates of Caribbean. That one.
Oh, Keira Knightley?
Yes. I think so.
Another white blonde woman.
Is she blonde? I thought she was brunette. Am I getting the
I
wrong
don't
person?
know.
I don't know. I'm not
Isn't she
good.
blonde in Pirates of the Caribbean?
I don't know.
I don't know. I could somehow Pirates of the Caribbean triggered that I know that actress.
Yes.
I can't even picture her face.
I know.
So-
I know. I have no idea. But I like that one as like a romantic movie. I can watch
Okay.
that several times.
How about drama or violence? You know, where what's I guess Captain America has a bit of violence in it, but it's comic
Yeah.
book violence.
I don't-
How about gratuitous gore and horror?
Horror. Oh, you know what? And I don't watch them anymore. I used to, but my growing up, my brothers and my dad and all them liked. Was it Freddy Krueger, Nightmare
So
on Elm
the
Street?
Nightmare on Elm Street series,
Yes.
of course. We're in November, so we just passed spooky season.
Yes, and those were things in sci-fi. I used to watch a lot of science fiction. Yes, there was one like the Body Snatchers or something
Okay,
like
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I think
Yes.
it's a sequel.
that. Yeah, so stuff like that.
That's an old school one, right? That's from the
Yes.
70s, 60s? Maybe?
Yeah, because my growing up, that's what they used to watch, and we used to watch the Sci-Fi Channel a lot. So those movies were always on. But yeah, so I like a lot of movies. It's hard to pick a favorite, but the other one I wanted to mention, what was I gonna say? Well, now I forgot it.
All right.
So it doesn't matter. We'll move on.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'll turn you back upstairs because
Okay.
we need all the HR support that we can get
Yes.
with the recruiting and the organization and the planning
Yes.
of parties and
Yes.
bonuses and salary and
Yeah,
all this
that'd
other
be
great
nice.
stuff
Yes.
that is within your window
Yes.
of human resources,
Correct.
managerial,
Yes.
blah 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 blah
Blah blah blah blah.
Which is kind of, I mean, it's funny because that's sort of how I describe my role here, which is
Yes.
a bit amorphous. Marketing has some certain very cut and dry elements to it, but also a bit of a different everyday kind of
Yes.
approach too. So I think that's kind of, we've become a bit friends
Yeah.
because we have similar personalities that
I
way,
think so,
and that's
too.
why I think we do well in these roles that are
Yes, and
that we
human
help to
resources and marketing work like they cross paths all the time.
Indeed.
All the time. And well, you cross paths with every department, really.
I try.
Yes,
I'd
so-
like to, and that's part of this. It's a good way to end this
Yeah.
because that is what I'm really trying to do with this series,
Yeah.
which is show the faces of the people behind the scenes. And so far, we've had an HR person.
Yes.
We've had a salesperson. We had a customer service person. We've had a operation manager who was a former engineer here. We had someone from the finance department.
Yes.
And as we move down the line, I'm going to start picking off people left and right here to have.
Yes.
I want some logistics manager stuff and some people who are picking and packing the projects.
Yeah.
And actual, hands-on guys who are actually manufacturing the stuff as well. So as we continue this series, we will say hello to one and all here at Centrotherm. So thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me. And I love what you're doing with this. I really enjoy watching them.
I appreciate that.
Yes.